and post-implementation. My name is Rick Geiler, and I recently worked for global power company AES. During my tenure with the company, I attained the position of purchasing and inventory manager while transitioning through several ERP implementations. My final implementation was with SAP in our Indianapolis Power and Light plant, where we partnered with Verdantis to help us cleanse our data prior to uploading it into our new ERP system. We were able to show a significant reduction in inventory line items through the removal of duplicate parts and the elimination of obsolete parts as well. We also showed a year-over-year cost savings through the additional data governance and renewed purchasing practices. These same practices are what we will be discussing in today's webinar. The agenda for today's webinar is business scenarios that make MMDM implementation vital, data-related ERP implementation failures, data optimization basics, Verdantis get it clean and keep it clean approach, ERP investments ROI success factors with the MDM initiative, the key impacts of a successful MMDM strategy on the balance sheet, some customer success stories, and we'll wrap up with Verdantis's experience. So in the business scenarios that make MDM implementation vital, we'll discuss the options that best suit the company based on a new ERP or upgrading of the old one. Are there multiple systems that need to be merged or different languages that need to be translated? And are there specific timelines or budgetary constraints that need to be met? For process improved efforts, are you looking to improve inventory visibility within a warehouse or across several plant locations or globally? Are you looking to improve spend management and increase equipment availability while perfecting your strategic sourcing ability by ensuring the right parts are on hand at the right times? For the ERP migration, during your ERP migration, remove redundancy within your legacy system, as well as complex data to improve models. It is a seamless transition, typically using Excel to download, then manipulate, and then upload your new information into the ERP system. For ERP consolidation, in case of mergers and acquisitions, harmonization will identify and eliminate duplicate conflicting information. You will be able to cleanse data based on different taxonomies or fragmented systems resulting in disparate reporting, as well as identify inventory shortages and operational risks. For some pro tips, plan an explicit MDM workstream identification, specific data to be cleansed, the team members that will be involved, the time frames that are necessary, the plant locations, and any budgetary constraints. Make sure the right people are involved in the entire process and enough time is allotted to complete the initiative of the ERP program. Profile and cleanse the data to ensure the ERP system delivers accurate, reliable, and consistent results. Data governance planning should be an integral part of any major organizational process improvement to ensure the reliability of the data. Data governance will ensure that all cleansed and harmonized data is kept pristine. The addition of a material master data administrator will also help the governance program, and this ensures all materials are kept to a specified standard as they are added or changed. Polling question number 1. When, according to you, is the best time to transform MRO processes within an organization? Is it during mergers and acquisitions? Is it during an MRP upgrade or migration? Is it for process improvement? Is it for a new ERP installation? Or is it for all of the above? We'll give you 30 seconds to check as many items as needed on this and then submit your answer. The data-related ERP implementation challenges and failures. Some ERP systems performance can be slow. This can be caused by either a lack of data or a surplus of data, which impacts system performance, or bad data that's generated out of data mergers from several integrations, as well as large transactional volumes. End user dissatisfaction. You have a system that continually underperforms the expectations of the people using it due to naming structures or incomplete descriptions. There are constant duplicate parts being put in the system by several people without a governing policy, causing delays to the inconsistent data. Business users can make bad decisions. Incorrect inventory levels will mean unnecessary spending on data warehousing costs. Post-harmonization could prove that duplicate parts are continually being purchased, even though there is minimal use, to a lack of visibility, which prevents granular view of the data, resulting in difficulty leveraging spend better. There's poor decisions due to the lack of category management, and cross-plant visibility can also impede strategic sourcing initiatives. Systems can get corrupted. Poor governance, data management, and user errors cause ERPs to behave unexpectedly. Incorrect materials based on poor part descriptions being used cause equipment failures, leading to plant safety issues. Polling question number 2. What are the current challenges with your existing ERP system? Is it poorly synchronized departments? Slower turnaround times? Lack of control over operating and operational costs? Inadequate decision-making? Or something else? Once again, we'll give you 30 seconds to make your choices and submit. How to maximize the ROI for your ERP initiative. One is get your data cleansed, then keep your data clean. We'll show the importance of data governance and also the best practices to follow. What you're seeing here is the results of the items that were selected on the last question. Data optimization rules for starters. Define the data migration strategy. Do this by identifying the scope of materials to be cleansed, the time frame available for the project to take place, the people who will be involved in the project, who the decision makers are, and any budgetary constraints. Adopting taxonomies and attributes. Specify the length of both your short and long description fields in your ERP. This will allow for the noun name and related attributes or descriptive fields to be incorporated in the descriptors. Don't duplicate data within the descriptions that will appear in other fields within the ERP. Translate data for your global enterprise. Identify specific languages that the data will need to be translated into if you are planning on a globalized project. Standardize the data. Use industry standard names and attributes for all of your data. The best practice is to use the manufacturer's taxonomies and attributes within the system rather than a name more familiar to the plant. In our instance that we had at our plant, we had considered a certain part as a flapper that went in our ash system. The manufacturer actually called it a door. So when we would look in our ERP system for a flapper, it wasn't there. So it was hard for us to find it. And at the same time, when we would go to order, we would call it a flapper, instead of a door. And the manufacturer would have issues trying to find out exactly what parts we were looking for. Analyze and dedupe data. Once your data is downloaded into an Excel spreadsheet, you will be tasked with identifying duplicates and obsolescence within the data. It is important to have the right people looking over this data to avoid any errors. Best practice is to separate the data by noun name, make specific blocks of these materials, and have those people familiar with the parts make the corrections. For instance, electricians should be looking at switches and breakers. Maintenance people should be looking at bearings and bushings. Enable governance and controls. This is the point where you will specify how the data will look in the system. You will identify characteristics like noun names, sizes, thread, material specifications for both the long and short description, as well as the sequence that they will appear. For instance, for sizes, do you want it spelled out as inch or foot, or abbreviated as IN or FT, or hash marks such as the inch mark or the foot mark? These are all decisions that will be made by the plant as to how they want their data to look. Once the template has been set, then it needs to be followed in all instances. This is what is referred to as the governance, ensuring the data is input based on the set design controls. Verdantis Get It Clean and Keep It Clean approach. During your ERP implementation, for both a new ERP implementation or an upgrade, you need to standardize the material master and service master data based on the governance and controls previously discussed. This is the harmonization phase of the project, where all of the data will be thoroughly cleansed, edited for missing or incorrect data, duplicates removed, formatted to predefined standards, and then mapped to new fields per your ERP, then uploaded into the system. Post-ERP implementations requires a strict governance and control of all new data entry into the system to ensure no duplicates are permitted and all data is input correctly. This will help eliminate redundant orders for duplicate parts, rationalize the data since it has already been cleansed, and show an ongoing savings by not having to continually check the data for accuracy and allow for quicker implementations. Poll question number 3. What value do you want to determine through material data cleansing? Do you want to improve spend on contracts? Show more value out of your ERP implementation? Provide an inventory reduction? Or something else? Please take 30 seconds to make your choices and submit. Material harmonized benefits. Getting it clean. Verdantis uses an automated solution to transform your historical master data into a cleansed, predetermined functional database. This process is known as harmonization and is the precursor for the governance stage. This fully automated solution is used to cleanse and enrich historical master data using AI technology and AI-based software tools such as AutoClass, AutoSpec, AutoNorm, and AutoCrawl. AutoClass will classify your master data into predetermined codes, which will include the UN SPSC, or United Nations Standard Products and Services Code, coding system. Each material will be identified through an 8-digit number that corresponds to its classification within the table. All items will be associated to the same number. AutoSpec will use an attribute extraction and deduplication software for material master data items, and AutoNorm will normalize and validate any manufacturer's part numbers and unit of measure fields to the item in the material master based on industry standards. Sorry. Okay, material harmonized benefits. Improved cross-plant inventory visibility because all plants are using the same material descriptions and part numbers, reducing the possibility of incorrect materials being ordered or used. Higher overall equipment efficiency due to the correct part being used for the proper applications. Proper manufacturer's part numbers have been validated to match with maintenance manuals and ensure the right parts are being ordered for replenishment. Increased supply chain fulfillment. This again is assurance that the right parts are being ordered based on inventory levels and work order requests due to the harmonization process. All materials input into the new system have been standardized, deduplicated, and cleansed compared to the historic material master data. Standardized both in description and associated attributes used to enhance the new data. You will show an improved ROI from ERP implementations and increased productivity and optimized cost, knowing that all of the new data has met the standards preset during the harmonization process, and by using the governance programs, the data will remain intact should another ERP implementation in the future become part of a merger or acquisition. Material integrity, keep it clean, or governance program. Once the harmonization program is complete and the new data is uploaded into the new ERP, then phase 2 begins with the governance program. The governance program relies on an on-demand, real-time validation of material data prior to the data being uploaded into the system. It is a configurable workflow-based approval process stretching across plants and cross-functional divisions. No materials will be added or edited without an approved based on the workflow parameters. This program also affords real-time availability of material data documentation for reporting or audits. Some other advantages to the governance program are it is easy to deploy, it's easy to use, and scale up. It also allows for a single place for reporting and data availability, as well as centralized repository for all material data. It has a seamless integration with ERP systems. The importance of data governance. Data cleansing and data governance are two distinct stages of an MMDM project. Both are essential to get the full benefits of the MMDM. Data cleansing is a process that ensures that all your material data already present in the system achieves an agreed upon level of quality. Data governance must ensure that systems handle the new data being created every day. It acts as a layer on top of your ERP or EAM to make sure that any new data entering the system is up to the mark in terms of quality. This helps to plan better by not having to cleanse and structure data for each planning purpose. In fact, implementing data cleansing before ERP uploading would ensure that the data going into your most expensive software is already of a suitable quality. One other important contributing factor to having a data governance is the effective performance tracking of the KPIs within the enterprise. Data governance should be an integral part of any major organizational process to ensure that the reliability of the data is there. A data management system is an easy way to implement proper data governance during an ERP implementation. Material integrity benefits for multiple teams. For the plant and material management, there is an improved collaboration across plants for better synergies and supply chain improvement, as well as access to accurate material and MRO data for increased cross-plant visibility. This also attributes to increased plant uptime and employee productivity, will reduce supply chain disruptions. For IT, it ensures information flow across systems are approved, accurate, and complete. It will optimize ROI from enterprise and supply chain IT systems like your ERP, MRP, or EAM, and reduce total costs of ownership of material data and IT infrastructure. For enterprise procurement, based on an enterprise procurement standpoint, it ensures enterprise-wide material visibility for informed procurement decisions, making and reduced order fulfillment times and transaction processing costs, along with ensuring contract compliance by reducing maverick purchasing. For the enterprise as a whole, from an enterprise-wide viewpoint, there is visibility of normalized and enriched material data across and beyond the enterprise. This permits everyone to easily manage and track inventory levels in order to manage and plan for supply chain risks, mitigation, and maximize ROI from mergers and acquisitions by leveraging the inventory base from the merging entities. Material master data management best practices to follow. Automated material data creation. You have an accurate, up-to-date, consistently enriched and deduplicated material master database to include a governance process to ensure material data quality at the source. There is enforced compliance with predefined standards and formats for material data creation and modification and short and long description generation to ensure enriched and rationalized descriptions. For collaboration, you'll have enhanced collaboration between plants and manufacturing facilities and across any cross-functional divisions. It will show timely identification of supply chain disruptions, any risks, and material scarcities, while improving material identification and reuse that reduces plant downtime and lost revenue opportunities. With a centralized repository for material data, all material-related information is in one centralized location with automated and highly configurable workflows to implement data stewardship and security on a robust platform for future MDM ERP harmonization or upgrade initiatives. The advanced functionalities, there are attribute-based search advantages for better material identification, tracking, and reuse, and on-demand, real-time validation of information added by any party. The system is easy to deploy, use, and scale up, and it is adaptable and has customized data replication to source systems with data available across functionalities. Poll question number 4. What value do you want to determine through data governance? Do you want to improve compliance? You want to make consistent, confident business decisions? You want to meet regulatory requirements, improve data security, or something else? Please take 30 seconds to answer and submit. ERP investment, ROI success factors with MDM initiative. Some key factors to consider when calculating your ROI once the project is complete are the startup speed. How much time did the MDM project take to go live? The classified data. What percentage of your total data were you able to clean or standardize or classify? The costs. How much did you spend overall between software cost, allied cost, and opportunity costs? The implementation. How easy was the implementation of the solution itself? Training time. How much time and effort in training did employees on the new system? And the ROI itself. How much ROI has the business accounted for since the implementation of the new project? Customer success stories with Verdantis MMDM approach. And this is where Rohan will step in.
Thank you, Rick. Thanks for taking time today and walking through the entire webinar, going through the key ROI factors. Now, what we have on the screen is, we have taken into account one case study from our client. And, based on our previous experience, we have aggregated the different saving opportunities that come to the plate when we have MDM integrated with the ERP implementation versus a simple ERP implementation with no MDM strategy. So when it comes to the supply chain deliveries, we typically see an increase in terms of on-time deliveries from 14% to 18% when the MDM is integrated in ERP. A direct 5% gain in inventory accuracy, better inventory utilization with an improvement of almost 10%. Now there are drops in operational and administrative costs. Now, while operational costs have a significant drop, the administrative costs have a marginal change. And the reason being, the users who are typically responsible for finding the materials, if they are able to find the materials easily with the structured standardized data, that leads to a major saving over here. In terms of compliance, as a part of the governance strategy, we observe around 3% of gain in compliance. And once we consider a cooling period of 2 years, so that the learning curve of the users is taken into account, the overall increase in profitability of around 4%. Now, this is a cumulative result across multiple case studies. But as a part of the next case study that we have on this deck is one of the customers from the energy sector. So next slide, please, where we have implemented both harmonize and integrity as a part of the ERP consolidation process. So the client had around 16 units and a material master of 1 million materials was to be standardized and ERP system. We're looking to establish a categorization process that could be applied across all the business units through a single platform. Set of standard part descriptions, so standard in nomenclatures. As a part of this, from the Get It Clean component, that is the harmonized component, the expectations to have actionable and consistent and accurate data was a key goal. On the secondary side, we also were looking for spend visibility through the codification systems like UNSPSC codification, then PIDEX codification, which is fairly common in the energy sector. Ultimate goal from structured data was to implement a lean process. So as a part of the Go Live strategy, they had a lean champion join the sessions and trainings and implement the lean process for lean inventory management. When it comes to the integrity component for Keep It Clean, the key goals were standardization, which was incorporated as a part of the process, ensure that everything that harmonization had established from data standard perspective was continued and built upon. The process itself was expected to capture potential duplicates and avoid redundancies, provide a global visibility. So when we talk about 16 business units, they were looking forward to having visibility across the entire organization while segregating the data and edit rights to the specific users who are responsible towards the materials belonging to their plant itself. Lastly, to ensure that as the entire system underwent a massive change through consolidation, the change management process was supposed to be very streamlined to ensure minimum friction. The next slide actually talks about the details of harmonize and integrity. So the customer had 9.5 billion in annual revenue with 1.2 billion in MRO spend, with 500 million lying in the inventory value. Now, even though they started with 1 million as the material master size, during an initial data triage, they realized that the materials that are on stock, materials that have movement in last 3 years, those came down to 450,000 materials. And this was what was selected for the cleansing. So from cleansing perspective or harmonization perspective, it proceeded with 450,000 materials. At the end of the harmonization project, potential duplicates identified were 12%, which was a direct saving of 2.64 million when we consider an inventory carrying cost reduction of 4.4%. In addition to that, through the demand aggregation methodologies, as we look for a refined and reduced material master volume, a 12.5% saving on 180 million addressable spend came out to be 22.5 million US dollars. This is with the achievement of 15% reduction in total SKUs. So from 450,000, by the time we were done with the cleansing project, we had come down to 340,000 unique items. Now these were after eliminating duplicate items, after eliminating obsolete items, any items where information was so cryptic that even an end user who had access to all the systems could not identify what the material was. So there was a major reduction in the total number of items that they needed to maintain in future. So 340,000 unique items to be maintained and an annual saving of 25,000 or 25.1 billion US dollars. Now, when it came to the integrity component of this, so we can move to the next one, please. Thank you. So again, from a overall view perspective, we were looking at 80% of the net spend, with 10% gain in the Maverick spend. Maverick spend was reduced from 40% to 30%. So our 10% gain led to an overall saving of 15.8 million US dollars. Next slide, please. So as we compare the aggregate, so we then look to compare the KPIs against the ones that were estimated during the project kickoff and the ones that were achieved 2 years post the go live of the system. So in terms of the inventory reduction, we were looking at 12% when we had estimated between 5 to 20% inventory reduction based on the initial profiling. From procurement perspective, the savings that we were looking for was between 2 to 9%, a 6% saving was observed. Reduced new parts requests, so 8% reduction in the new parts request. Of course, majority of those would contribute through consolidation of the ERP system. Now, because the parts were shared across the entire organization, the request for new parts reduced significantly. False stockouts reduced by 2%, carrying cost reduction by 12%, and on-contract spend increased by 8%. So a net saving of almost 45 million was achieved and developed as a part of the case study, which we had after 2 years of initial cooling. Next slide, please. So at this time, I'll very quickly talk about an overview of Verdantis. So Verdantis has been in this space for over 12 years now. Our solutions, Harmonize and Integrity, are both AI-based. They leverage the AI-based engines for classification, specification, enrichment, and normalization of the data. We have catered to almost 100 plus clients and with over 200 plus implementations across them. Our focus has been on MRO materials, services, and chemicals from the material master or master data management space. And our methodology focuses on deep domain expertise, which we have incorporated in the overall project approach, which ensures that the client reviews the results through established project management methodologies and is always updated on the status and risk on the project. With this, I believe we are now moving towards any question and answers. So what we can do is, if you could post all the questions that you may have through the chat method of this webinar, we can address those one by one. So Riddhi, if we have any questions coming our way, request you to ping it to me so that I can address those one by one. Okay, so I see the first one coming our way. The question is regarding the ERP systems that Verdantis has supported in the past. So in terms of the different ERP systems that we have worked with Maximo, JD Edwards, Passport, Infor. I would say 65% of our customer base are SAP based. Now, in terms of next question that I see is what are the key challenges observed during such implementation? Now, one of the key challenges that we observe for any ERP implementation is the turnaround time. These projects are typically long-term projects. The implementation can take anywhere between a couple of years to many years. Now, keeping that in mind, there are a lot of factors associated with the change management. The leadership can change, the financial targets can change, budgets can be reallocated. So it becomes important to ensure that the master data cleansing is delivered within the timeline that has been stipulated in the original project estimation. Now, this is possible through the automation approach which Verdantis brings in, but one of the typical failure reason for an MDM initiative is change in leadership or change in the vision of an organization. I see there is one more question. What languages Verdantis supports? So Verdantis solutions are again language agnostic. Harmonize processes the data in English. However, we have a team of techno-linguistic translators who are able to translate the local data into English and have it processed in Harmonize, and a subsequent output translation is also incorporated in the process. Let me see if there is another one. Okay. So what is the typical number of implementations that Verdantis caters to on a yearly basis? So on a yearly basis, our average is of around 4 to 5 implementations, uh, you know, and that is from both harmonize and integrity perspective. All right, so I see we have room for one more question. Okay, so one last question that we have is around the domains that Verdantis caters to. So we have almost 50% presence around the energy sector. So both utilities and energy production and I would say oil and gas sector is uh, focus for Verdantis. We also cover food and beverages, natural resources, and paper industry. These are among the others. I think with this, we would like to thank everyone for participating in the webinar. We would be sharing the deck as an email across along with the poll results. And we'll look forward to meeting with everyone during our next webinar, which we are anticipating in October. Thank you, everyone. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Thank you, Rick. Thank you, everyone.